The World Cup is almost over, or over depending on when you watch this. And what me and John McKenzie are going to do is do a team of the tournament. You know how they work, but we've done one separately, and we're going to see who has the best team. And just basically go through the best players in the tournament. That's what we're going to do. We've been watching all the World Cup games. Thanks for watching us on Tifo IRL. I do hope you've enjoyed our videos. Subscribe, do all that. So first of all, we're going to start with the goalkeepers and the defenders. So this is my team, right? You see with the lovely colours. Now, Emiliano Martinez, his real name is Damien. Do you know that?
I did not know that.
That's his real name. So he goes in goal for me. There's a few keepers who do quite well. I think Livakovic of Croatia does very well. But I think his penalty saves, Martinez, are enough to get him in my starting 11 because he's basically won that for them, right?
Really solid goalkeeper as well, right? Great commanding the ball in his box and really good at build-up as well. Everything you want.
I agree. I like him a lot. And then Gvardiol kind of obviously gets in. He's been magic. I wonder how much of this is then you hear it, other people say it, and then it makes you think he's better than he is. But he is.
Feedback loop.
Yeah, I thought he'd been great for years, but like he's really stood out. Obviously, Messi kind of turned him inside out against Argentina, but he's inclined to do that to anyone. But I think throughout the tournament, really important.
I think Gvardiol's like a really well-rounded centre-back, right? So he can carry the ball really well. He can pass the ball really well. He's really good in terms of his athleticism and physicality. He's good in the air as well. So just every attribute you want from a young centre-back he has already at a young age, and he's played at wing back, left back as well. So you get a lot of money's worth if you bring in a player. If you
were to buy him, yes. I mean, he could play left back as well, like we said. But on my left back. So the thing with Theo Hernandez is that he wasn't actually meant to start for France in this tournament at all. It was his brother Luca, who came off in the first game against Australia with a really horrible, I think it was a knee injury that he came off with. And his loss obviously was Theo's gain, but also France's, and he's been one of the best fullbacks this entire tournament. There's a couple others that you can maybe mention. We'll mention them later on, but Theo Hernandez is good for me. Then my other centre-back, Rodri, surely enough, they went out quite early, Spain, but he's pretty good here. He's one of the best players, maybe, if you're doing a whole 11 in the world. Rodri at the moment is pretty phenomenal. Great in the ball, obviously. Then Hakimi of PSG in Morocco, up and down that wing, all games long. Played, I think, every single minute for Morocco in their run. Has to go in for right back for me. That's the start of my team. John McKenzie, what's your team that I haven't seen yet?
Well, you haven't seen it yet, but you have seen it yet because it's exactly the same as yours. Player for player. But yeah, agree with you on all counts. Yeah. Theo Hernandez, really interesting for him because I think we talked a lot about the dynamics between him and Kylian Mbappe, which I don't think would have been there had it not been for the injury to his brother, as we've said. And then Rodri playing out of position in the right-sided centre-back role and coming out as far as I can tell, the best right-sided centre-back in the tournament, which is impressive, really. Had, I think, the most passes in the tournament by a country mile, like nearly 200 passes more than the next closest player, but also things like progressive passes as well, most progressive distance. He's there too, so really, really important for Spain in their play style. And yeah, Hakimi, we've known he's been one of the best fullbacks in the world for a while, but we've seen him playing at these really elite sides, right? But seeing him come out for Morocco and play a slightly different style and still be one of the best fullbacks in the world is impressive for me too.
Well, we'll move on now to the midfield. And there's one player that every single person in the world will have in their team, I would have thought, which is Mabromata of Morocco. This guy, phenomenal. What tournament this guy's had. I'm going to assume he's in your team as well. Yeah. Plays at Fiorentina just now?
That's right.
Just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he joined Fiorentina as a sort of chaotic ball-carrying 8 and has slowly just become this really, really nice 6 who is able to control tempo and is also just a really good positional defender as well. And I think there's a lot of good 6s in the world right now, but there's very few 6s who can do what he can do, which is, as we've already mentioned, like tempo is super important to that kind of position. He's good in possession of the ball as well as out of possession of the ball. And he was so important to what Morocco were doing well this tournament. He was able to pick the ball up. He was press resistant. He was able to move the ball on. Just did everything that was required of him.
I like Amrabat. He'll be moving somewhere probably bigger than Fiorentina, wouldn't you, off the back of that?
I suspect so, yeah.
Another player probably going to move somewhere. Jude Bellingham was amazing all the way through. This guy, so I think we've seen the absolute best of Bellingham on the world stage now, so we obviously knew he was brilliant at Borussia Dortmund. He's been great in the Champions League as well. But for me, I think he was the best player England had by miles, not carrying them through games at all, but box-to-box midfield, doing everything well in all parts of the pitch. seems to be like a leader. When Harry Kane missed that penalty, he was the guy that came up and was trying to look after him straight away. He's 19 years old. That's an old head on young shoulders. But Bellingham, magic, got going for me. Then Griezmann I've put in controversially as another midfielder because for France, although he's been part of a forward line, he's been dropping an awful lot to help out with the midfield too, and he often is one of the people who intercepts the ball. I think he had one of the most pressures in the final third or something like that at one point for France, or in the whole tournament. So I put him controversially in midfield, but he's sort of the link. It's like a 4-2-1, and obviously there's a 3 coming up. But that's my Griezmann. Can you argue against Griezmann?
Not at all. I think there's an argument to be made that Griezmann is the player of the tournament because he has done so much for France. Because it's not France. Obviously, everyone is going to talk about Mbappe. We all know about his downside off the ball.
Well, I'm going to go for Messi.
Yeah, but I think with Griezmann, he just allows not only France to be a dangerous attacking unit, but also he allows them to do off the ball the stuff that they get the best out of Mbappe from as well. So I think really, really important player for France, and he's in my team as well.
I'm excited to see what your midfield looks like. I don't know.
Yeah, similar to yours,
right,
but rather than Bellingham, I went with Modric. I love Bellingham. I think Bellingham has really showcased how good he is, both in terms of the creative side, but when you get creative players like Modric, actually they often come without that level of physicality that Jude Bellingham brings as well. I noticed that Bellingham, I think, has made the most tackles in this World Cup so far, which
that's a good start.
Still got a game left to go. So I think that's where Bellingham's upside comes from, because you know that you can get him to do the creative stuff, but he can do the defensive work as well. And he just, in every phase of play, he offers something to England and to his club team as well. But yeah, I went for Modric instead, just because you've got to go for Modric, haven't you? If you have the opportunity, maybe this team is a little bit defensively weaker than yours, but
I think I saw too many of those outside of the foot passes from Modric in this tournament. He's got a left foot.
Yeah. No, I am also in team. If you can play it with your other foot, play it with your other foot. But Modric, I think, carried pretty much Croatia most of the way this time round. So I've included him for that reason.
I'll allow it. I think that's fine. I would say you've got a very deep line here. That's very deep. I'm far more high up the pitch, more attacking, I suppose. Yeah.
I suppose so. Amrabat is doing a lot of work for my midfield, and one of the things that Morocco did really well was have really pressy eights, and Griezmann is going to press a lot out the front, but maybe Modric not so much, so maybe Bellingham takes it there.
I'm going to hide the subs because I didn't make two separate boards with all the subs on. Right, I've got loads of subs. Here's my forward line. Look at this. Can you argue with this? Mbappe has to go in, flanked by Hernandez, just like it does for France. Messi, best player in the tournament by miles, best player of all time ever. Love that guy. Love this guy. I mean, the goal, everything he's done in this tournament has been incredible, high level. The run, I didn't know he's still that fast to be able to take on Guardiola, who is quick, by the way, and strong, and he just bodied him for the goal that Argentina scored, the third goal they scored in the win over Croatia in the semi-final. And I think Ziyech has been phenomenal all the way through. He starts as a wide right, but through this whole tournament he's been coming in to help with the build-up phase. So a lot of Morocco's play has been, obviously they're very deep, and then the ball gets to Ziyech in these sort of areas here, and then he's the one that dribbles past someone and then switches play, and then that's how they get their fullbacks forward, and how they've been creating chances from wide where the fullback or Boufal swaps over there, and then a forward comes in like an Ezri to score. But Ziyech has been really important to it, really disciplined tactically as well. It's just like it's really hard to work out why he doesn't do that for Chelsea, but maybe he's just with a higher standard of player all the time, so he's maybe he's a bit different. Maybe he just suits being that Moroccan team more. He was great at Ajax. I thought he was phenomenal, so that's why I put my right forward. I want to see who you've got.
Again, pretty similar, but I've gone with Messi, sort of a bit more of a narrow second striker, and then Mbappe wide on the left, and Giroud through the middle. I think Giroud's been fantastic for France, and Giroud's put up about 0.8 non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes this tournament, which is massive for this tournament.
And became France's all-time top scorer, of course, as well.
Exactly, yeah. And it's a tournament play, and you're not expecting your strikers to put up a huge amount of expected goals, but he's really been up there. For context, in terms of
why wouldn't you expect that?
Well, I just think that, like, France, for example, are a little bit more conservative in the way that they play. By contrast, Harry Kane put up around 0.25, 0.24 non-penalty expected goals per 90. He obviously got a few penalties. If you add those to it, he's on 0.6 expected goals per 90. So Giroud is like adding a huge amount of upside side in terms of just raw goal production for France as well. And I think, again, we've talked a lot about with France, injuries have actually meant that players have come in and actually been able to perform a role that maybe they wouldn't have done had it not been for those injuries. And I think Giroud is definitely one of those players. Had Benzema been available, then Deschamps has a bit of a selection headache, right?
Yeah, well, I wonder who would have played actually, but Giroud's so functional, it works really well, and the top scorer of all time for the country. Here's all my subs I put in. I thought Juranovic, I put him in mostly because it was 2 games ago he was amazing. Who was it against?
Against Brazil.
Against Brazil when he
really
had the run of Vinicius Junior. Yeah. Phenomenal. So he plays for Celtic. Really impressed by how well he's done. I think he'll end up moving to Celtic's a big club, but he'll play at a higher level day to day. I mean, he always play Champions League sometimes Celtic. So Sosa at left back, another Croatia player. Really impressed with him. I thought them in the midfield for Croatia were why they did so well and went through, but maybe weren't that good after all in the end. We got to the final. Denzel Dumfries, he didn't make it into their teams, but he was hugely important for the Netherlands as an attacking wing back. He's basically a winger the whole way through. You could have played him where Ziyech is. Enzo Fernandez could have got in. He came in the second game, I think, and then changed the way Argentina played because they were rubbish in the first game. I thought Kovacic was better than Modric. Not better, but different. And I was really impressed by how he played. Pedri, obviously I love Pedri. Saka was England's second best player. Loved watching him. Bruno Fernandes scores highest in Who Scored. He's got the highest rating overall. But I mean, he's got 2 goals, 3 assists. Unfortunate to be knocked out by Morocco. Vinicius Junior was excellent, apart from when they lost, obviously. And then Julian Alvarez, I think another player who really stood out for me, who could easily have made it in as well. But you can only pick 11 players. That's how football works. And that's both our teams. That's my team. That's my team for the World Cup. And this is John's team for the World Cup. But we've done something else for you for a treat. Because imagine you can only pick 1 player per country, and that's how you pick the team in the tournament. That's what we've done. Pick yours now. You've run out of time. Here is my team in the tournament from 1 player per country. Now, this is Matt Turner of the USA in goal, because I seem to remember that in at least one of the games he was great and making these double saves at the near post, getting back up again to try and save them. I thought he was quite good. But it's 1 player per country. That's mostly why he's in. I like the USA. He's made it in. Tyler Adams could have possibly made it in if Amrabat hadn't been so good. Obviously, he goes in for Morocco. But yeah, kind of the same. Guardiola, Rodri, Denzel Dumfries makes it into my 11 here. And then Youssouf Sabaly, who plays for Senegal. I thought he was magic. He played in the right, actually, for Senegal. But in every single game, I was taking notes all the way through the tournament. And Savali made it into every single week as my team in the tournament, but I think Hakimi had to go in after all. And he can play left back, so I'm not cheating. That kind of works. Vinicius, Saka. Messi and Mbappe, it's actually better than my other team.
Yeah, arguably.
So that's my team. I've not seen this. I've not seen what John's team is. Let's hope he's stuck.
Quite different to yours, actually, I think.
Oh, that is very different. Let's have a look then.
Yeah.
Once this little thing goes, there we go.
So
Szczesny, I was going to pick Szczesny. That's a good shout.
Yeah, Szczesny, I think, had a really good tournament. The excellent penalty save, which went into a double save, was I think one of my moments of the tournament.
Maybe I'm confusing Turner with Szczesny, and I want Szczesny in my team. Okay, maybe
you can have him. I'll allow you to have him in that team as well.
Thank you. Okay, I like that.
I also went Dumfries at right back as well.
Yeah.
I was the position I was struggling with after I'd gone through all the players I wanted was left back. So I went with Kim Yin-soo, who is the guy who set up those 2 goals for Cho Ju-song in the game, the big exciting game where they came back and got through to the knockout stages. Just 2 absolute peaches of deliveries, which Cho dispatched pretty nicely.
So based on 1 game or from more?
Based on just mainly that game. I think he's been good throughout
left back options, and so you stuck him in there.
Yeah. I think he's been good. I think he was good throughout the tournament. But yeah, that game in particular really stood out for me.
I don't think who else stood out at left back through that tournament. Daley Blind was decent.
Solid. I had Blind, but then I needed to get a right back, so I went with Dumfries. But I had the same sort of problem. I think the thing is that the teams who play well, you're always going to take their attacking players, and so you get to the situation where by the end of the team at the tournament you're like, oh, I've got to fit someone in the left back area. But
as I did by putting Sabali there.
Gvardiol, Rodri, Amrabat, all the same. I've included Bellingham actually in my my team.
Okay.
Team with only one player, and Fernandes as well, who you've already talked about. I thought he was exceptional, really good for Portugal, and like you said, they were pretty unlucky to not go through against.
Was he their best player? Fernandes,
I think so. I think that Portugal setup where they have the really fluid front four just suits so many of the players that they have there. So they've got Joao Felix, who is great in those sort of more free roles, and then obviously Fernandes is just going to pick a game up by the scruff of its neck and do something, and I think that worked out really well. And then I've gone Mbappe, Messi. No surprises there. And then I thought, Richarlison.
That's a good shout, because that goal he scored was maybe one of the goals of the tournament. Yeah,
he was a big part of why Brazil were great. And just until they got knocked out, Brazil for me were just the team to watch. They were just fun to see what they were doing, and obviously that game against
a proper 9 like Richarlison for a long time, because you think of him as playing as a left-sided forward in the Premier League, but he is great through the middle. It's a good signing for Spurs being able to play that.
It was the tournament of 9s, really, wasn't it? Like we were constantly talking about who's going to play. There's the Spain-Germany game where they both brought on a more traditional 9, and that had changed the game. And Giroud, obviously, Richarlison I think was important as well, and Cho for South Korea came on and did 9 things, and it worked out for them. So it's nice seeing that actually at this level of football it's well worth your while getting someone in the box who can score. It makes a big difference. Goals are a scarce commodity, so if you've got someone who can score them, then you're onto a winner.
Well, there you go. Do your teams match our teams? Leave us a comment below. Tell us what you've got. I'm pretty sure, I don't know, who's got the better team?
I don't know. I think it's pretty close, to be honest.
I think Szczesny's a good shout. I should have put Szczesny in. But that's our team of the tournament. Our teams of the tournament, I should say. Do leave your things below. We'd love to see what you've got. We'll actually look at them, so we won't comment back, but we'll look. And that's our team of the tournament. I've said that 3 times now. You must know what we've done. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll see you later. Have a lovely time. Please do subscribe, because it will make John happy. Look at John, and imagine him even happier than that. That's why you should subscribe. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
If you liked today's video, please subscribe to the channel. And if you like Tifo, we think that you'll also like The Athletic. If you want the best news, features and interviews about the World Cup, the Premier League and European football, as well as loads of other sports, The Athletic is the place for you. And as part of our special deal, you can get it for £1 per month for 6 months. See the link in the description.